For 2 decades, WWE fans speculated about 2 of the biggest what-if moments in wrestling history. The Undertaker's WrestleMania Streak ending and John Cena finally turning heel. One moment became reality at WrestleMania 30, while the other finally happened in 2025. Both events were over 20 years in the making and both changed the landscape of WWE forever. But how do they compare? Today we're breaking down both moments, their impact and why they are such monumental turning points in wrestling history. The Undertaker's streak ends.
Brock Lesnar into the cover, hooks the leg!
For over 20 years, The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak was one of WWE's most sacred accomplishments. What started as an unintentional stat quickly turned into one of the biggest attractions in WrestleMania history. As the years went on, the streak became larger than the world title matches themselves. Then came WrestleMania 30. The Undertaker faced Brock Lesnar, and in a match no one expected him to lose, he did. The moment the referee's hand hit the mat for a third time, the crowd fell into a stunned silence. The image of shocked fans, mouths wide open in disbelief, became just as iconic as the match itself. So let me pose the question: where were you when the streak ended? The streak ending was a moment built on history. It has been protected for over 2 decades, with legends like Triple H, Shawn Michaels and CM Punk all failing to conquer it. But when it finally fell, it wasn't in an epic back and forth classic. It was a brutal, one-sided match where Undertaker, who finished the match despite his less than optimal physical condition. Some fans believe Brock Lesnar was the right choice, as his dominance made the moment feel truly shocking. One thing is certain: the streak ending changed everything about WrestleMania. After 21 victories, the mystique was gone. While The Undertaker continued to wrestle for several more years, the loss to Lesnar lit up a spark that told us his era was coming to an end. The spark was fully ignited by Roman Reigns going over 5 years later. Something just feels permanently different about modern WrestleManias nowadays. John Cena's long-awaited heel turn. If The Undertaker's streak was one of the most protected stories in wrestling, John Cena's character was one of the most unshakable. Since 2005, Cena has been WWE's top babyface, a role he never wavered from despite constant calls for change. Even at the height of Cena Sucks chants, WWE stuck with him as the face of the company. For years, John Cena's heel turn was wrestling's greatest what-if. It felt inevitable, yet it never happened, at last. Not while Cena was a full-time star. But in 2024, everything changed. Cena returned for one last major run, and this time WWE pulled the trigger. It was a sudden betrayal, but not a cheap shock. A slow, carefully crafted descent into villainy took place, shrouded in the shadows. Cena, now an aging veteran, became bitter about WWE moving on without him. The very fans who once rejected him now embraced new stars, and Cena couldn't stand it. This wasn't just a typical heel turn. It was the ultimate payoff to a 2-decade-long story. Cena had always been the guy who never gave up, who did things the right way, but now he was willing to do whatever it took to stay on top. Obviously that does not match up with his promo on last week's Raw, but I'm sure all his talk about ungrateful fans is just masking the truth. Cena's turn in 2025 wasn't just about shock value, it was about legacy. Much like Hulk Hogan's infamous turn in WCW, it was a reinvention that defined the character. The hero of WWE had finally become the villain, proving that no one stays the same forever. Both of these moments had been anticipated for over 20 years. The Undertaker's streak ending and John Cena's heel turn were once seen as impossible. Yet when they finally happened, they changed WWE on a molecular level. One was a single match that shattered a historic record, while the other was a character transformation that redefined a career. One left fans in silence, while the other ignited an entirely new chapter for one of WWE's biggest legends. But what do I think about it? Which moment was better? I gotta say that I wasn't there to witness the streak ending. It happened in 2014, and I wouldn't start watching WWE until a year later. However, I watched the Cena heel turn live on Netflix, In the second it happened. That shouldn't say I'm biased toward the Cena turn, as I'm giving the crown to Lesnar ending the streak, just because we saw what happened afterwards. Cena's heel turn has just begun, and it has potential to be legendary, but for the moment, WrestleMania 30's end of Undertaker's undefeated streak is the best moment that was built up for 20 years. But let me know what you think. Are you as hyped as I am to see Cena go for number 17 as a bad guy? It truly is an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. You have been watching WW.